So once again, here we are, Christ the King Sunday, the last Sunday before ordinary time, right before Advent. Today is the day that we are praying and reflecting on the sovereignty of Christ and the sovereignty of God, the Father. And it's good that we always give that a whole Sunday, because the rulership of God is a very complicated idea. There are plenty of people out there that have no love for organized religion that say this is the very heart of the problem. The acknowledgement of an all-powerful ruler dictating every detail of our lives. Such a ruler would have to be against human freedom, creativity, and critical thinking, because an absolute ruler has no need of any of that. But I can't help but wonder, what if all those arguments are just missing the point? What if the sovereignty of God is completely different from the sovereignty of a human ruler? What would that rulership look like instead? I have a vision that's been rattling around in my head for a while. Christ is King of heaven and the earth because Christ is truth. I mean, truth in human form, truth wrapped in a solid body, but truth nonetheless. For he is fully divine. He is truth incarnate. So Christ the King Sunday is about the authority of truth, because truth is essential. We need it. We can't live without it. Everything we do depends on it. It's the foundation of all reality, and that makes its power not unlike that of a king's. Of all things, that then brings us to confession. Because the sacrament of reconciliation is always tied to that lordship of truth. Because confession is where we come closer to the real us. We go, we admit our sins, we pledge to do a little bit better, and we let go of those sins weighing us down. Because our sins are never the real us. I mean, yeah, they're us, they're our sins, but they're a secondary part of us. They don't really belong. And the first step to liberating ourselves from that, the first step is to see them for the spiritual dead weight that they are. We're only really in trouble when we cherish and celebrate the things that are killing us. That is when our vices rule in our hearts instead of Christ the King. So cherishing and celebrating the things that are killing us. There's a little sliver of a story I've just got to share. It's a really, really quick part of a series of comic books called The Sandman from Neil Gaiman, which I happen to consider as a masterpiece. The main character, his name is Dream, and he is the incarnation of dreams. He's this godlike being, and he goes on adventures and stuff. And one time, I forgot exactly how he gets there, but he wanders into a serial killer convention. They call it a serial convention. So it's him and hundreds of killers and terrible people. And they're celebrating their evilness. They're encouraging one another's behavior. There are speakers and panels about how great they are and how much America needs them and all that. Well, being the horrible people they are, they manage to anger Dream. I mean, come on, you got a hero and like hundreds of villains. What else is going to happen? And he punishes them all in this wonderfully appropriate way. Near the end of the chapter, he looms over them. I can't remember if he actually looms over them, but that's how I remember it in my head. And he goes, I curse all of you. By the way, I'm not actually cursing any of you. Just telling a story, got to make that clear. I don't even know if priests can curse people, so just a story. But he says, I curse you all. From now on, you will know exactly what you are. I take from you your power to deceive yourselves. And from this day forth, you will see yourselves as the monsters that you have chosen to become. And for the last 2 pages or so before the chapter ends, you see everybody else go back to their cars or the airport or whatever with looks of despair and quiet fear on their faces, for they know that they are evil people. And that is so profound to me. It's like 5 pages. It's this tiny sliver of the story. But it reminds me every time of the final judgment before God. And I love that because there's no fire, there's no brimstone, there's no father figure yelling at you for 1,000 years. It's the stark knowledge of what you did in life and the consequences that followed for good or bad. And it comes with the realization that in our life, sometimes we weren't as reasonable or as justified as we once thought we were. And that our enemies weren't actually as horrible as we made them out to be. That maybe we were the ones being unkind and selfish and unfair, and that we did great harm from time to time. I wasn't the best older brother you could possibly ask for. I had some mean streaks in my childhood. And every time I did or said something truly mean, I had a good excuse every time. I had a justification for why I was the real victim. You don't understand, Dad. It was really annoying. I'm sure some of you know how that feels. Well, it took me years to realize just how much damage I was doing to my family. And when that information finally came into my presence, all those old excuses just went up in smoke. Now I have a much better relationship with my family, I think. And there are a lot of reasons that's true. Partially because my family are, forgiving people. But one absolutely necessary reason it was true is that I was willing to look at my old faults and choose to act differently. And that is exactly what confession is. That is exactly what reconciliation has to offer. We confess our sins one-on-one, okay? We're not alone. We're not with the internet. We're one-on-one with a human being. And we come to terms with the sins of our past. We're willing to look back at the damage we did. We fix that damage as best as we can, and then we get on with our lives with renewed courage that we might do a little better next time. We're offering confession from 3:30 to 4:30 on Thursdays at the South Church after school. And Monday afternoon was not working out. It was an inconvenient time for a lot of you. So starting today, we're going to have confession here at the North Church after 11 o'clock Mass. So around 12:30 or so. All right, if you're going to share your burdens with me, at least let me have a donut. It's only fair. But I extend that offer to each and every one of you as someone who also needs confession from time to time. And there is great healing available there for all of us. It's when we reconnect with those truths in our lives that are not easy. But if we are willing to see the truth when it harms us, or it embarrasses or shames us, then we prove our devotion to truth in our lives. And it's that truth, that authenticity, that keeps Christ king in our hearts. For his kingdom will come and his will be done on earth as it is in heaven.